Republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible with liberty and justice for all.
Would staff please call roll?
Commissioner Strasbaugh? Here. Commissioner Ruffridge?
Here.
Commissioner Burton?
Here.
Commissioner Spindler? Commissioner Murray?
Here.
And Commissioner Vadla has requested an excused absence. You have a quorum, sir.
Thank you. Before we move to floor nominations, I'd like to encourage rotating these roles as they provide some key benefits. So one, skill building. Taking the gavel is an excellent way to deepen your understanding of the parliamentary procedure and municipal code. And number two, sustainability. When more of us are comfortable in these roles, the commission remains effective even when members are absent or terms end. It is a supportive environment, and the department staff is always here to provide the necessary procedural support. Okay, so may I have a nomination for Planning and Zoning Commission Chair?
Acting Chair, this is Dennis Murray. I would nominate you.
Okay, thank you, Dennis. Commissioner Murray, are there any other nominations? All right. Are there any objections to selecting Commissioner Burton as chair for 2026? Okay. I appreciate your support. Hearing none, Commissioner Burton is the 2026 Planning and Zoning Commission Chair. Now, may I have a nomination for the Planning and Zoning Commission Vice Chair? Are there any nominations?
Nominate Spindler.
First meeting, you know.
Oh. All right. And are there any other nominations? And if you're
For the
online,
chair, who was nominated? I didn't get that from the remote. Who was nominated?
Lance Spindler.
Commissioner Lance Spindler.
Okay, thanks.
Are there any other nominations? All right. Are there any objections to selecting Commissioner Lance Spindler to vice chair for 2026? All right. Hearing none, Commissioner Lance Spindler is the 2026 Planning and Zoning Commission Vice Chair. Okay. All right. May I have a motion to approve the... Oh, yes. I'm sorry. We are going to move on to approval of the agenda. May I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Are there any changes to the agenda? All right. Are there any objections to approving the agenda? All right. Hearing none, the agenda is approved. All right. We are now going to move on to approval of the minutes. The Planning and Zoning Commission regular meeting of December 3rd, 2025. May I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I
Through
move
the
a
chair.
motion.
Thank you. May I have a second?
Second.
All right. All right. Are there any changes to the minutes? Okay. Are there any objections to approving the minutes? All right. Hearing none, the minutes for the Planning and Zoning regular meeting of December 3rd, 2025 are approved. Now we will move on to presentation with prior notice. And there are no presentations, so we will move on to the next agenda item, public hearings. All right, we will be looking at Resolution PZ 2026-001, recommending approval of the Soldotna Junction Subdivision Creekside Estates 2026 replat. May I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. May we have the staff report?
Thank you, Chair Burton. We're gonna pull up this very short presentation. So this resolution is to merge two lots, and what you see on the screen there, lot 4 and 5 of the parent plat. Let's see, yes, clicker works. So this particular parcel, these two parcels are within the rural residential, the RR zone, adjacent to the commercial district to the west there, what you know as Fred Meyer's, and everything surrounding it is rural residential. This plat was parent plat. The underlying plat was approved more recently in 2023. So this is just a very simple preliminary plat to merge these two under one ownership. There's no dedications of right-of-way, no removal or addition of utility easements, and it will remain as rural residential. And surrounding uses, there are vacant lots in some homes, so there's no concerns from a zoning reviews of the impacts of it. I did note that on lot 4, which is the lot to the west, there is a home under construction at this time. At the time during the building permit, the home was actually proposed very close to that center property line between lot 4 and 5. So I can see the rationale to merge these two lots because they were pushing it as far east of lot 4 as possible. So now we don't have any issues of eaves really encroaching into that setback. Otherwise, this is as straightforward as it could get. Access will remain the same off Dahlia Circle to the north, and also they do have access off East Redoubt as well. Municipal water and sewer are unavailable, in which case they've already got DEC approval for the home. Otherwise, they meet the standard requirements when it comes to Title 16 for subdivision requirements in terms of lot size, access easements, and there's no street designations or dedications. So I'm recommending that your commission approve this lot merger for the Soldotna Junction Subdivision Creekside Estate 2026 replat to recommend to the Borough Planning Commission. And happy to answer any questions your commissioner may have.
Thank you. The public comment period is now open. Is there any member of the public who wishes to speak on this item? If so, please state your name and address for the record. So for those participating through Zoom, please raise your hand if you would like to comment. The user will need to raise your hand through the icon, and phone participants by dialing *9 on the telephone. Is there staff or any remote attendees wishing to speak? Okay, thank you. With no one else wishing to speak, the public comment period is now closed. Are there any commission comments or questions for staff?
None here.
Okay. All right. Seeing none, we will go ahead and call for the vote.
Commissioner Murray,
Yes.
Commissioner Ruffridge,
Yes.
Commissioner Strasbach,
Yes.
Commissioner Spindler,
Yes.
Commissioner Burton.
Yes.
You have 5 yes votes. Motion passes.
Okay, thank you. All right, we will now look at Resolution PZ 2026-002, recommending approval of the Shields subdivision. May I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Thank you. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. May we have the staff report?
Yes. Thank you, Chair Burton. give a second to pull up the slide here. So before I start, I do want to point out, as you know, the packet and the staff report for these two were combined because they go hand in hand. And I think to speak to them separately will make it confusing. And as I go through it, you'll understand why I think it was best to put this under one staff report. So in speaking of the first resolution, is just the preliminary plat of the Shield subdivision. It's pretty standard. It's just a 2-lot subdivision. Unusual for Sterling, off the Sterling corridor, to split the lot in a north-south configuration where the interior lot doesn't have direct access to Sterling. And of course, when an applicant wants to propose something that's not your typical zoning practice, the next question is, how do we make it work potentially with the zoning district? And that's why staff recommended to the applicant to rezone the southern lot without direct access to rural residential to ensure that the density is lower and it doesn't put us in a situation where a commercial lot without direct access would need signage, in which case you're kind of bound to kind of review a variance, because how else would they advertise that interior lot? So that's why before you see a rezone along with it. And I'll see if I can change it. Perfect. So the preliminary request, as noted, it's off the Sterling Highway. The whole parcel itself is zone commercial. Unique to the east is a lot that has a split zoning, commercial to the north and rural to the south. And then to the south of the subject parcel is rural residential. And to the north and to the west, you have commercial district. And to the right of the screen, you see the proposed preliminary plat. It's lot 1 is to the north and lot 2 is to the south, and hard to see on the screen. So in terms of proposed access to lot 2, typically you'll see that we follow the section line easement. In this case, the section line easement is following the west property line. But when you look at the topography, that's really not feasible. And so to say, hey, let's dedicate it just because the section line easement is there, it's not really practical and unlikely to be developed. So an alternative access is being proposed, and you can see running from the northeast corner going through is a 30-foot access easement that would be recorded as a condition of this plat to ensure that lot 2 would have access and it would run with the land. I think that's pretty much the gist of it. In terms of utilities, there's no utilities, sewer or water services 300 feet of these parcels, in which case they just have to get DEC approval, which lot 1 has received DEC approval, and then lot 2 will be subject when they develop it. In addition to lot 2, you have Soldotna Creek. They will be subject to the borough's Habitat Protection District if they were to develop anything within 50 feet of it. And that will go through the Kenai River Center's permitting process. Otherwise, in terms of utility easements, it will remain the same. No additional utility easements are being proposed with the preliminary plat. And then just to follow through with the rezone in conjunction with it, existing is what you see to your left screen, and to the right is what's the proposed zoning. Is that southern lot would be zoned rural residential, similar to the lot to the east. However, you can see that it doesn't perfectly align. It's just, if the world worked perfectly, every line would add up. But as you can tell, the lots to the east doesn't make sense anyways with the lot split. It doesn't follow any property lines. So staff doesn't see a concern there. We see there's value in rezoning the southern lot to rural residential. Again, limiting the density and also knowing that it's having the Soldotna Creek run through it. I think there's a lot of benefits to rezoning it to rural residential, and seeing throughout the city when it comes to lots with the Soldotna Creek, we see that we typically have zoned it rural residential to protect that as best we can. So this aligns with what we've seen and with the comp plan in terms of the surrounding area. And then really that's what the subdivision is to lot split it north and south configuration, ensuring that there's access to lot 2. Even if the change of ownership changes in the future. So staff is recommending your commission to adopt the first resolution, which is PZ 2026-002, to recommend approval of the Shield subdivision with the following conditions: that prior to the final plat approval, the applicant shall record a pertinent driveway access easement acceptable to the city. We'll work with the city to ensure that the language is consistent. And then condition 2 is prior to any development on the currently vacant lot 2, the applicant must ensure that there's adequate fire apparatus access that meets the standards for CES, along with the installation of all necessary improvements based on the proposed use as required by the Public Works Department. The reason for this second condition is typically with a building permit and a lot adjacent to a street, we usually issue driveway permits. In this case, it's a private easement. There's really no jurisdiction when it comes to the building permit in terms of access. This kind of gives us that leverage there to ensure that whatever, depending on the use, we're making sure that access is appropriate through lot 2. And just to follow suit, the following next resolution is staff is recommending that you concurrently approve the rezone that would go with this for lot 2 of the Shield subdivision. And that concludes staff's presentation. Happy to answer any question.
Thank you. The public comment period is now open. Is there any member of the public who wishes to speak on this item? If so, please state your name and address for the record. So you can click the hand raising icon, or if you're on the phone, *9. Are there any remote attendees? Okay, thank you very much. With no one else wishing to speak, the public comment period is now closed. Are there any commission comments or questions for staff?
Just one question. I know that there's a planned widening of the Sterling Highway in that general area. Will that affect any of the changes in the access to whatever the new widened highway may look like? Is there any impact or effect on that from this proposal? I don't see any, but I just want to make sure it's been thought about when we were doing that.
Thank you, Vice Chair Spindler, for that question. As far as I know, with the widening the Sterling corridor efforts, it shouldn't be affected, considering that they are using an existing driveway that was permitted in 2015, and they're all using for lot 1 and 2 and the lot next door. So I think it aligns with them by actually not splitting the lot in a north or west-east configuration. And that was the reason why too, and I didn't provide the background, is originally when the original applicant came in for this one, they asked, could we subdivide this? And the first answer was, well, sure, if you have access off Sterling. But then we knew that, with TOT, they want to minimize as many access as possible. So, they came back with the north-south configuration. And the next question is like, how do we make this work? And obviously, from a staff's perspective, we can make this work if we rezone it and provide an alternative access.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you. I have one question regarding the appurtenant easement between lot 1 and lot 2. Excuse me. As in the future, if ownership changes between the two lots, will that easement that provides access to fire services and other facilities like that, lot 1, will that easement, appurtenant easement, continue on despite ownership changes? So will the future, current, whatever owner of lot 1, will they be required to maintain that easement throughout the future?
Thank you, Chair Burton, for that question. So it will run with the land. It would have to be recorded against the property. And I think it's up to the current owners to decide who is going to maintain that in the future. That's up to really the current owner to put that burden, whether, they sell it. I hope the new owners will read it and say, oh, the whole burden's on me. So we'll definitely make sure that there is at least some language of who's going to be responsible for that. And so that is a very good question. That's why we said satisfied to the cities, because we want to make sure that when it comes down to it, no one's going to come back to the city and it's like, well, who's responsible for this. And I would hate to see that we weren't thorough in our approach to address that.
Thank you. Are there any other commission comments or questions for staff? All right, hearing none, let's go ahead and call for the vote.
Commissioner Spindler,
Yes.
Commissioner Strasbach,
Yes.
Commissioner Ruffridge,
Yes.
Commissioner Murray,
Yes.
Chair Burton.
Yes.
You have 5 yes votes. The motion passes.
All right, thank you. All right, we're going to move on to resolution PZ 2026-003, recommending approval that Lot 2 of the Shield subdivision be rezoned from commercial to rural residential. May I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Thank you. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. May we have the staff report?
So I will bear the burden to bring up the presentation. Ultimately, just with the passing of the previous resolution, this is now proposing to rezone the southern lot, Lot 2, from commercial to rural residential, as noted before. With any rezone, there are some criteria that need to be met, and it has been met. Minimum requirement is 2 acres for a rezone, and this is a 7.397 parcel. So that aligns with the minimum requirement. In addition, also enlarging the adjacent boundaries of the rural residential to the south and to the west. So this meets the minimum requirements for a zoning map amendment. And again, with the rezone, access to Lot 2 would be through that driveway easement. And then we really find that the density is appropriate for the adjacent land uses, which are really undeveloped land to the south and west. We have residential and storage yard to the north and recreational lodging to the east. And we find that rural residential is the most appropriate zoning for Lot 2. And so staff is recommending your commission adopt this resolution to rezone it to rural residential. And that concludes staff's presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. The public comment period is now open. Is there any member of the public who wishes to speak on this item? If so, please state your name and address for the record. And if you are online, you may click the hand raising icon, or if you're on the phone, click or press *9. Are there any remote interviews? All right, thank you. With no one else wishing to speak, the public comment period is now closed. Are there any commission comments or questions for staff?
Just one comment. I appreciate your presenting these two together because it makes it easier to understand. Thank you.
Absolutely. Is it possible to, Commissioner Burton, is it possible to pull up the map one more time? Sure. Absolutely. Yes. So it's Soldotna Creek Park in the suggested rural residential rezone. If there's any construction within 50 feet, how far does 50 feet go up to the border that, from our perspective, that northern border of the of Lot 2?
I'm going to have to pull up the preliminary plat just to get an idea from distance.
Yes.
A little bit. Again, I mean, it's very minimal. Again, to remind you how large Lot 2 is, it's 7 acres. If you're just looking at dimensions from corner to corner on the west property line, that's 376 feet. So I would easily say the creek is about 150 feet at the highest point. And I know you can't see it up there. You can see the toe on the other dash line above the creek. That's the toe.
Okay.
So that kind of gives you perspective of the topography there.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I was just wondering for if somebody decides to develop in this area and starts putting a septic system, whether they, I don't know, would need, an easement or something to pull off of lot 1, or if they have enough area in lot 2, and it sounds like that they do. So I appreciate it. Thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah, and I would add to that, Chair Burton, and your concern. I actually work with the applicant very closely with this and the borough plating manager just to ensure a lot of things that are not typical. Again, like the section line easement is usually where we see the dedicated right of way for accesses. So I met with the applicant and the plating manager and met with the applicant multiple times that I didn't want your commission to approve something that is a showstopper at the borough level. So the plating manager there has seen this and hasn't addressed, at least pointed out any red flags. They obviously have to ask for some exceptions, but that has nothing to do with our standards.
Thank you. Are there any other commissioner comments or questions for staff?
Yeah, none here.
All right, let's go ahead and call for the vote.
Commissioner Ruffridge,
Yes.
Commissioner Spindler,
Yes.
Commissioner Murray,
Yes.
Commissioner Strasbaugh,
Yes.
Chair Burton.
Yes.
You have 5 yes votes. Motion passes.
Thank you. All right, now we will move on to Resolution PZ 2026-004, granting a conditional use permit for the construction of a single-family dwelling within the commercial district at 42871 Sterling Highway. May I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Thank you. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. May we have the staff report?
Thank you, Chair Burton and Commissioners. So this one, I don't have a presentation because, again, it's the same lots you've been looking at. It's actually lot 1 of the Shield subdivision. So this CUP is coming back before you. Unfortunately, with the preliminary plat coming submitted to staff, we had to look at everything that's been approved and the underlying lots. And I thought it was unusual that a home was being built on the portion of lot 1 now, because typically in the commercial corridor, single-family residents are not allowed unless a CUP has been approved. And that conditional use permit was approved by the commission back in 2023. However, those require a commencement within 18 months. And within code, it allows staff with good reason to provide an additional 1-year extension. With that extension, it would have expired this past December. And so there's no other mechanism to carry over an expired CUP. So just to clean things up, the applicant has now reapplied for another conditional use permit with no changes. What was reviewed back in 2023 is the same exact plans that's being proposed now. And so there's no change in scope. And I've asked the applicant to provide the rationale why. And their reasoning was the delay in construction was primarily due to the homeowner's decision to prioritize the subdivision process and not have to subdivide it after the fact to have a clean title. And again, just with DEC's approval too, that was also a recent approval that they obtained for lot 1. So I find that from a staff's perspective, they have demonstrated progress, significant site preparation in terms of goodwill intent to build a home on this property. So staff is recommending that your commission approve the CUP because there's been no change in scope. Therefore, that means that all the standards that were met in the previous conditional use are still met today. And so staff is recommending you approve this conditional use permit for a single family in the commercial district on the now proposed Lot 1 of the Shield subdivision. Thank you.
Thank you. The public comment period is now open. Is there any member of the public who wishes to speak on this item? If so, please state your name and address for the record. If you are online, on Zoom, you may press the hand raise icon, or if you are on the phone, press *9. Are there any remote? Okay, thank you. All right, with no one wishing to speak, the public comment period is now closed. Are there any commission comments or questions for the staff? All right. I mean, we approved the conditional use permit back in 2023, and I actually appreciate the way the owners set this up to not allow undue stress of applying for variances to come back in front of us. So I appreciate this process and your work as well. All right, if there are no other commission comments or questions for staff, I would like to call for the vote.
Murray,
Yes.
Ruffridge,
Yes.
Strasbach,
Yes.
Spindler,
Yes.
Chair Burton.
Yes.
You have 5 yes votes. Motion passes.
All right, thank you. Now we'll move on to unfinished business. And there is no unfinished business. So we'll go ahead and move on to the next agenda item, and that is public comments without prior notice. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to comment? And if you are online on Zoom, go ahead and hit the hand raising icon. If you are on the phone, go ahead and press *9. Okay, thank you. All right, we will move on to the next item, informal items. And there are no informal items, so we will move on to the next agenda item, which is reports. So we will first hear from Council Member Nelson for the mayor and council reports.
Thank you, Chair Burton. I appreciate it. Good evening to everybody. So I know you haven't met here in a couple months, so I've got a list of items that I'll just share, hitting up the highlights here from January and February. It seems like it was very busy for the council, a lot of things happening. So just for the commissioners, first thing that I'll report is you may recall from the elections, the borough has changed the way, or the date, excuse me, that they conduct those local elections. It was October. It's now been changed to November. So the city has also aligned with the borough for those elections. So we passed a few pieces of legislation, one that changes when our city election is, and also extends the term just for that 1 month here that we're in oddity for the mayor and council until that election is taken care of. Also, we adopted a resolution, or a policy by resolution, that standardizes building and facility naming. So this is something that Vice Mayor Parker spearheaded, and I believe, I don't know if that came before you, but definitely Parks and Rec, because obviously with the field house and some of these other things, there's a lot of different requests, and we have a lot of things in the city named after people without really a very good policy. So now I think that we've got a good policy there. So we have some action, or some structure, I should say, going forward. There is an item that's been postponed that the commission may be interested in. This is a resolution from Mr. Chilson, or excuse me, an ordinance from Mr. Chilson that kind of revises the short-term rental permit process and is attempting to simplify and standardize it. At his request, it's been postponed, I believe, till next month, and that is to allow additional time for him to work with staff and get some details correct. There's obviously a lot of interest in that and how that would affect our business owners that run short-term rentals. So just be aware that will come up again. At our last meeting, we had a lot of stuff going on in the last meeting, but some fun things, one of which is we've received several donations over the past couple months, mostly from the library. a few individuals. I believe the Rotary Club had a donation. I'm probably missing some folks, so apologies for that. Um, at the same time, we had the ability to give out some mini grants. So if you may be aware, the city of Soldotna does, I will be corrected if I get this wrong, but I think 2 mini grant cycles per year, and generally 2 each. So 2 $1,000 grants. And there's a mini grant policy on the city website if you're interested in it. But typically, this is something that the council tries to award for organizations that are nonprofits that are doing something to enhance the community or benefit the residents. It's not for operating expenses or a travel. So there's some exclusions like that in there. So we actually had 5 applicants, which we haven't had a lot of applicants in the past couple cycles, but we awarded grants to Peninsula Period Network, which provides female menstrual products in schools and other public facilities, I think including the field house and some of the others, and also Special Olympics Alaska for, I forgot what that was for, but it was good. They had a great showing of their meeting, so we were able to do that. In addition, at our last meeting, just for the interest of the commission, we appropriated $226,000 and change for the ice arena. And what this is, it's a little bit of a complicated story that I'll probably not quite get right, but the refrigeration system that runs the ice arena is original to the building back in the 80s. It's seen better days, and the cost for parts and components, and especially the refrigerant that is being used in the ice arena, which is not manufactured anymore, which is important to note, those costs are just rising. So this isn't really for too much new business or new infrastructure, but it really is just representing the vast additional cost that the Parks and Rec Department is dealing with. So kudos to them, by the way. That system has far exceeded the life that it was designed to do, and that is probably due to fine maintenance over the years since that building was introduced. But I know that the city manager has indicated there's definitely more discussion to be had on this topic because the ice arena is going to come up. It's probably, in my opinion only, probably one of the next big things the city is going to have to tackle from a fiscal standpoint because I don't know if you've been there. I'm pretty sure that building is in use from 5 a.m. until 11 at night, just like the field house is. So we have a need for it, and we want to be careful on how we do that and how to make that sustainable. But it's also very expensive, as you know. We had 2 work sessions here in the last month or so, just for kind of related to that. One of those where the ice arena did come up was just an update for our investment funds. So the city maintains several different investment funds with different terms that essentially some of our funds are invested in. Some of that is short term, where we have some ability to kind of use that for operations, cash flow, essentially for the city. And there are some longer term ones as well. And I think I would not like to put words in the administration's mouth, but one of the questions that came up on that work session was, would it be appropriate to use some of those funds in some manner for the ice arena versus perhaps a bond or other things? Again, nothing I think has been decided or recommended, but please be aware you'll probably see this type of thing come up. The second work session was on the riverfront rezoning. And so excellent thing. I know many of you, some of you are new here to commission, some of you have been on it for quite a while, but had a good work session there. I think a lot of good discussion was had. At the end of the day, the last meeting, the riverfront rezone failed by city council. There were a number of different concerns and different items that came up. I would encourage you to watch the YouTube recording. I don't want to put words in any council members' mouths, but I think there were definitely some things that had to do, especially with non-conforming use, parking requirements, some of those specific things. And at the end of the day, the council as a body determined that it wasn't the right time to pass it. Again, not putting words in anybody's mouth, but I know from a council perspective, this isn't dead yet, but it's definitely something that will probably come back. We can't just reintroduce the same thing here in a month, but I think staff needs time to work with everybody, with the Planning and Zoning Commission, with the council, figure out maybe what some of those steps are. And again, this just happened last week. So I will not corner Ms. Mitchell over there and say, what have you done to fix this yet? So just be aware of that. And I really would say from my perspective in those comments that I think everybody is conceptually on board with this idea, obviously, at this point, but there are some execution things that probably need to happen and need a little bit more work. I think I hit all of my list, but I'm happy to stand for any questions from the commissioners.
Are there any questions or comments for Councilmember Nelson? My apologies. Commissioner Burton here. I do have a question regarding the riverfront rezoning, veiling. Is there any projected joint work session between the City Council and Planning Zoning in the near future to kind of talk about this and scratch our heads over?
Again, I might be talking out of turn. I would imagine that will be a step that comes up, but I think, to be fair, there probably is some time that administration staff need to maybe put a strategy together. So I wouldn't want to guarantee it, but I'm certain that discussions are going to continue.
Okay. Are there any other questions or comments for Council Member Nelson?
Not a question, but not a question, but just a comment. As a frequent daily user of the track over at our new field, I am amazed. It is a huge boon to our community. Thank you so much to the council for making that happen. Are there any changes to? I read about the funding coming through the federal part of it for the improvements along Marydale Avenue. Are there is there progress along that front?
We did, I believe, receive some funding for that. Apologies, I don't have anything written down right in front of me as far as the detail. I don't believe it was fully funded, but no,
Correct.
I don't think it was. So I'm sure that has been on, I will say that's been on the capital priority list. I think it's important. So there probably is some funding coming to that. The city will probably have to come up with some portion of that as well. And I just don't have the numbers in front
Yeah,
of me.
no, that in the article I read, it might have come from KSRM or one of those news sources. It indicated that the lion's share was coming from the federal, but there was still a significant portion coming from the city. And that was my thought, was if there had been any progress on that. But it was such a new news article, it doesn't surprise me that we don't have the answers figured out yet.
I think it was only just a few weeks ago, and I know that project, again, giving credit to our Public Works Department, you think, oh, well, let's fix a street. It's not really that big of a deal, but I think there's some sidewalk concerns, especially because that's there by SoHi, utilities, all of those things come into play. And so I appreciate it. I'm sure we'll hear more once we've got a little bit from administration on getting that out to bid and all of that. I would assume that's probably some of their next steps to see what those bids come out to be, and then being able to allocate funds from council to do those things. But stay tuned, I will say. And I will share, I've been traveling a lot, but I will say every time I go to the field house, it's always crowded, and there's a lot of work. I haven't mentioned the Friends of the Field House, but there's been a group that's been supporting, and I think they've actually been raising money and helping some of the teams and different community groups with the user fees. So it's a pretty amazing thing that our community has come together to use. And every time I'm up on the track, I'm sure you've seen the same thing, Commissioner, that every one of those 3 courts is filled with somebody at almost all hours. And that's also allowing the ice to be in longer for our hockey teams, which there's quite a bit of that. One of the things we heard is that field house was being constructed was the need for more ice. And so now I think Parks and Rec's plan is some of those things like a home show and sports and rec show will go over to the field house, which will allow more summer practice of hockey and all of those types of things. So it is a wonderful thing.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Member Nelson. We appreciate you being here. All right, we will move on to the city manager report. City Manager Bauer, which, she does not appear to be here, so we will move on to the Director of ED&P report, Director Mitchell.
Thank you, Chair Burton. Well, first, I would like to welcome our Vice Chair, Spindler, to the commission. I appreciate your volunteering and making the time, and glad to have you join us. And yes, you get to be the Vice Chair already. So that's a big welcome from us. So a few things I'm trying to think of, just kind of housekeeping stuff. we will definitely have a meeting in April. Already have a couple projects lined up. So if during your commission report, if you can let me know if you're going to be here or not so that I can anticipate, I would appreciate that. We have the storefront improvement grant. Open application period has been open since earlier this February, but it's actually going to close this Friday. Obviously, if there's more interest and people need more time, because sometimes getting the quotes at this time of year is difficult. I've already extended it 1 week. I'm happy to extend more if there's more interest, but just for your commission to know, these grants are maximum 50% up to 7,500 for these projects. And, you know, it's a beautification project. It's not always, we have a committee, and I think Chair Burton's on it as well, that we just really evaluate on kind of creativity, uniqueness. It's not just replacing something out of maintenance. And so we have seen a lot of great projects benefit from this, and there has been a lot of interest. So we'll see how many we get this round. And these are typically occur 3 times a year. Unfortunately, the last time we opened it in the fall and winter, we didn't receive any applications, but this time around, I think we'll get at least 3, hopefully. A lot of them have to do with signage, so I'm excited to see that. And then just to go over some, I know we haven't met in a while, and I don't want to let your commission think that I forgot about some of the topics we discussed last year. Some things that are still on my radar is to bring forth a code change on our ADU, still really analyzing, you know, with this need of more housing, is this code provision of ADUs really effective, or is a hindrance to allowing more housing in our city? And I think I'm still leaning towards that ordinance doesn't, or that code provision doesn't necessarily need to be there, or if we keep it, we kind of broaden it up enough to actually make it an incentive, not a prohibition of or zoning barrier, because right now I still see no one's going to build anything 750 square feet with construction costs for an additional dwelling unit. And so working with KPED and looking at affordable housing and the climate on the borough, and this will kind of give me more data to really see and evaluate our code and how it could encourage more housing. What are some things in our zoning code, like density, that's prohibiting housing, where there are potential, but because our code is a little bit restrictive, the question is it good for good reason, or it's just outdated code provisions. And then the other thing, I know K-Rod, our Kenai River Overlay District, you know, we reviewed quite a few applications last year, and I'm trying to become an expert in this. You know, Kenai River Center has their staff that's fully dedicated to reviewing this kind of permits. I'm trying to better understand what are some mitigation strategies. And, you know, Fish and Game has a lot of brochures and manuals of like how to address this and be good stewards. And I'm reading it right now so that I can bring back some options of how to refine our code provision with what works here in the peninsula, not just what works anywhere. So that's on my radar still. And then I still want to balance with efficiency, with the short abbreviated plats to change that here for our city. Would reduce staff's time, and as I mentioned, what you saw today with the lot merger, that would be something that could potentially be approved at a staff level. Instead of waiting to go to a public hearing, because I would hate to see if that's the only item that we have to wait another month for an applicant to then go through the borough's process. That could probably take me, honestly, a week's review and forward a recommendation to the borough so that they can continue that process on the borough side versus it sitting here with us for a month. Otherwise, I don't have too much else to say. Happy to answer any questions, or, you know, and thank you for the feedback, Vice Chair Spindler. I'm constantly changing these staff reports, if you haven't noticed already, trying to gauge where everyone's at. We have newer commissions, so you saw on the rezone and preliminary plat, I try to be more clear of the approving process so you understand where it's coming from, and trying to be less jargon with planning verbiage. I've kind of scaled it back. It's just my background of where I came from, California, where it's like you need to be very technical, but I'm realizing that doesn't work here. I do really want the public to understand these things so that they feel more encouraged to speak up and show up to these things to understand the impact to maybe their area. So any feedback you have, please let me know. I'm happy to kind of pivot as needed. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments for Director Mitchell?
No, just a comment, thanks to you and your staff and all the good work that you do. And I am always for simplifying things as long as we still accomplish the proper goal and there's fairness, it's inequity that's ensured. So yeah, as you see opportunities to set some guidelines from this commission that you can then apply to simplify the process, I am completely open to considering those.
All right, we will move on to commission. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh. We'll go ahead and move to commission comments. So we will start from this end. Commissioner Strasbaugh.
Well, Director Mitchell, I really do appreciate the way that you wrote it out. It's super easy to understand for me and for the public. So thank you.
I think I've said everything as this all went along. I just appreciate this. I had volunteered. I explained to a couple of people that I'm just here to help. And I hope I demonstrated that when I stepped up and said, yes, okay, I'll be the vice chair. If I knew you better, I'd think you were pranking me. I put my money where my mouth is. Yeah, I'm glad to help out. And so I appreciate the opportunity. This will be a steep learning curve, but I appreciate the opportunity to learn and to work with all of you.
Commissioner Ruffridge.
Thank you. It's good to be on tonight. I wanted to thank also Commissioner Burton and Commissioner Spindler for just stepping into the roles, chair and vice chair. Yes, and as a new commissioner, I've really appreciated the orientation and just the clarity, especially from your director, and just the diligence that I get to see even tonight with the work that is being done. It's super encouraging. I'm also super excited to hear about really anything that could increase opportunities for housing in the community too. So just thank you for the good work and hello to all my fellow commissioners from Juneau. Thanks.
Commissioner Murray.
Thank you, Chair. Just a couple things. Wanted to thank Beth. I was struggled with my laptop, my tablet, trying to get it to sync up and everything, and took a couple of visits, but I think it's working. And also to Johnny, our city clerk, and add my congratulations to our chair and vice chair.
Thank you. And excuse me. I want to thank you for all, Director Mitchell, for the way you set this up. It was very streamlined, very easy to understand. And I appreciate all the work you do. Councilman Nelson, thank you for being here and providing explanation of what's going on. And yeah, I'm happy to be here with all of you and glad to take up the chair role. All the challenges and excitement that will come with it. So thank you. All right. So we are going to move on to adjourning. The next regular meeting will be held on Wednesday, April 1st, 2026 at 5:30 p.m. Seeing no other items on the agenda, the meeting is adjourned.